All right, man. Steve, let's get right into it. What's happening with this like FTX selling $1 billion worth of grayscale Bitcoin ETF? Is that most of the kind of price action that we're seeing? Is that related to that?
Yeah, I think it's good news, general and overall. I think we have a lot of momentum, buying pressure coming in. So the first one I think is the FTX that Coinbase published this article about. FTX just finished selling their GBTC holding through the new launched ETF, and so that contributed to some of the selling in the last 12 days since the ETF launched. So I think this is good news. Yeah.
Okay, so now that it's done, we're probably going to see some like less selling that's going to happen, like more like downward pressure on the price.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about supply and demand. So supply is the FTX liquidation selling, and now we'll be moving one of the supply that's giving the sell pressure on BTC. So that should improve the overall price in the future very soon.
All right, so I guess it's looking bullish probably in the next few months then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool, cool. Is there anything else?
No.
So let's now talk about like what's happening with like the speculative money that happened on with Bitcoin.
hmm
What's happening there?
Yeah. So I think, in my opinion, uh, a lot of the people that bought Bitcoin before the ETF launch, speculation, a big portion of it, speculation money, and speculation money don't stay in for long, right? So after the ETF launch, it didn't go any further, so they have to close the trade, so they have to sell and take some profit. So we have seen 12 days of selling, right? From the top of it, you can see that little peak right around 49,000. That's the date of the launch, right? And every day we've seen selling, right? Selling down and selling down. It's been 12 days. In my opinion, the selling is waning. If you look at even the relative strength index for Bitcoin, it's approaching the bottom, which doesn't happen a lot during a Bitcoin bull market. So I think the selling is almost done. So that's another good sign. Yeah.
Are we in like is the relative strength index saying that we're in like kind of oversold territory?
Yes, exactly. That's what it is. It's below 30 or close to 30. So the RSI is between 0 to 100. If you look at the daily chart I was looking at, it's approaching 30. So it's in the undersold territory. And historically, during the bull market on a daily chart, it doesn't really approach 30 that often. Usually, it marks the bottom of that pullback.
Well, let's hope this this little bot this is kind of like the local bottom and let's hope there's no more selling that happens.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, we're definitely in an oversold territory for sure.
Yeah. Cool, man. Let's now talk about the flows going into the ETFs. It looks like there's a huge amount of volume of money that's like going in, as opposed to what's actually going out.
Yeah, so Eric, he's a ETF specialist from Bloomberg that studies all the ETF funds. And so he posted this chart that shows the total uh, outflow, inflow of all of the ETFs. So if you take a look, right, so GBTC, obviously, every day it's outflow minus. Those are the amount of money going in and out, right? It's negative. So basically, money are going out of the ETF, GBTC. But if you look at the total every day, uh, it's actually still positive at the
Mm.
bottom. Second from the bottom, the total, it's still positive, right? And it's been 6 days. This is a little bit outdated, right? We're still waiting for the day seven and day eight coming in. But in my opinion, the trend is going to continue. FTX done selling the GBTC, so that is one sell pressure is coming off. Also, not everyone in GBTC are selling, as I mentioned before. Some of them are people that are holding it and they don't want to pay taxes because if they sell GBTC now, they're in a profit. and they're gonna register a tax event and they have to pay taxes. So a lot of the people, in my opinion, are not selling in GBTC either. So the selling is gonna slowly, gradually slow down and stop. And so if you look at the total outflow or inflow, it's actually inflow, right? So I think in the next week or two, we're gonna see the price slowly going back up because of this buy pressure from the new ETF.
So do you think like Grayscale, so the cohort of people that own Grayscale and the ones that don't, that the ones that you're saying that are not going to sell for, the tax event that could potentially get triggered if they sell, are those users or those like customers willing to keep paying that fee to not ever trigger that tax event? Do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of the people, like I would not, like if I were, someone holding GBTC right now, like $100,000, if I sell now, whatever the profit I make, I have to pay 30 to 40% tax, depending on, the country you're in, the state you're in. It's not worth it because it's only the management fee right now they're charging is 1.5%. Comparing to like 30, 40% one-time payment, that's a lot.
Yeah. So
So
that's
I would not sell. If I were holding GBTC right now and in the profits, I wouldn't sell.
I wonder what that percentage of people that are in that boat, right? It's almost like now Grayscale has a cheat code where a lot of people are kind of held against their will because they probably can't trigger the tax event, and then they
Yeah,
get to
they've been
charge.
held push.
Yeah, they get to charge one point whatever percent it is, right?
Yeah, and you don't think Grayscale knows? Grayscale knows. That's
Yeah,
why they're keeping the management fee high at 1.5% when all the other ETF is in 0.2% to 0.5%.
yeah. Do you
Right? I'm not the only one that knows this secret.
yeah.
Grayscale knows very well people will incur a tax event if they sell now. That's why they're keeping it at 1.5%.
Yeah, yeah, got it. So I guess the conclusion we can probably take away is Grayscale is not going anywhere.
No. And imagine Bitcoin continue to go up to 70, 80. The
Yeah,
tax event is getting bigger and bigger.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
That tax event comparing to the 1.5% you're paying, it's like 10 times more. You pay 10 times more today versus 1 year you pay 1.5%. 10 years, it's what? 15%?
yeah.
That's still less than the tax event you're going to incur today if you sell today to move your money into a different ETF.
Wow, yeah. I guess
Just
like
think about it. You think about it. Is that worth it? 10 years worth of management fee you have to pay all in one day as a tax event.
yeah, definitely not worth it. So
Yeah.
it's almost like these ETFs kind of help. In a way, it's like the ETF releases is not a bad thing for, I guess, GBTC. I mean, more money's coming in. People are stuck in this GBTC product, and they're probably gonna stay in it forever. And so
Yeah.
they
I
can.
think also has to do with the timing of the ETF launch because I mentioned before in our previous video, a lot of the people that bought the GBTC fund in 2019, 2020, the entry price, according to the analysis, was between 15 to 30,000. That's most of the people's entry price was.
Oh wow.
Had they launched the ETF 6 months ago or 8 months ago when Bitcoin price was still around 15, between 15 and 30,000, I think a lot of people would have sold and moved their money into other ETF because they would have been breaking even at that point. And so there's no tax event.
Oh, interesting.
Because if you break even, there's no taxes
It-
to tax you on a capital gain tax.
that is true. That is true. Oh, so the timing of the ETFs played a huge role then.
Yeah, but now it's like 40 to 50,000 and you sell, you're making like 30% gain in your capital gain.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
that's something we'll continue to monitor. We'll talk about it, in a couple months and we'll come back to this.
All right. All right. We'll keep looking at that then.
Yeah, we'll
Uh,
monitor that.
let's move on. So it looks like Hong Kong is looking to try to create another crypto ETF, looking like more. I mean, like this is like another on ramp for more, mainstream money now coming into crypto again, right?
Mhm. As you know, the Hong Kong financial market is the center. So Hong Kong stock exchange is a major player in Asia in terms of funding, in terms of financial events such as raising funds. A lot of the money goes into the Hong Kong Stock Exchange to buy different things. And for OLS or OSL
OSL.
to be looking into launching an ETF is a really good news because it's such a big market, right? In Asia, a lot of Asian money will actually use this vehicle, just like in the US, to buy into Bitcoin. So there's no guarantee they will succeed, just like in the States, there's a lot of procedures and things they have to go through. But it's a very similar situation in Hong Kong right now. They do already have futures Bitcoin uh, product already, futures based ETF in the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. So it only makes sense that they will approve the spot ETF. And I think in this article, they're looking at about maybe middle of the year, June timeframe that they can launch it. And so, yeah, that's another big buying pressure coming into Bitcoin and the price as well.
I think like there was a conversation we had maybe a couple days ago where global liquidity is like going up. So, now global liquidity is like everywhere, right? So now there's another avenue in Asia to, park money in Bitcoin, right? There's like a, what's the word? An on ramp to put money into crypto.
Yeah, it's just an easy way, right? I mean, I'm sure even before this ETF, if people really wanted to buy Bitcoin, they have a way to buy Bitcoin, at the
Yeah.
exchanges, a lot of the exchanges are global, like Binance, Bybit, Coinbase. A lot of these are global. So if you live in Hong Kong, you could open an account and buy ETF, Bitcoin directly. But those are more like smaller mom and pops buying for companies or funds managers. Like Hong Kong have a lot of other funds too, right? They have their own ETF funds. They have their pension funds. Those funds they're not gonna open up a Binance account and buy Bitcoin. It just doesn't work that way for fund managers. So for them to be able to have an ETF properly approved by their commission and regulated, and they can properly put it into their fund on the books, we're talking about like billions of money from those funds too, allocating 1% of the portfolio into Bitcoin ETF.
Yeah.
It's really good for the price for sure.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Looks like honestly it's looking like every few years like the ease of buying crypto now is just getting more easier and easier and easier. I remember before it was we have to find like a Bitcoin ATM, and now, fast
Man,
forward several years later, it's
yeah,
like ETF and
yo,
automatic payments.
back then, right from the beginning, when we used to hunt the Bitcoin ATM machines
Yeah.
on the street,
Yeah.
some of them were put in an aisle, like an alley.
Yeah.
It felt like we're doing a drug deal when we're trying to buy Bitcoin that way.
Yeah.
Remember, I remember we walked out of the alley and I was like, I felt like we just did a drug deal going into the alley to buy Bitcoin from that machine.
Yep.
Crazy, right?
Crazy, yeah. Crazy where we are now.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, man. Let's move on from this. So what's South Korea's top office urges the FSC, which I'm guessing is their SEC, to basically revisit their stance on their spot Bitcoin ETF. So what's
Hmm.
it's looking like everyone is now starting to get more favorable in the direction of implementing these like crypto ETF products.
Yeah, I think it's good news again, right? It's the exact same thing I said about Hong Kong. It's the South Korean, they have their own funds managers, they have their own pension funds, ETF funds, mutual funds, right? For those funds to properly access Bitcoin and actually put it on their portfolio, they need an ETF. So this is also good news that they are looking into pushing for Bitcoin spot ETF. So we don't know the dates, we don't know when, but it's something in the works. So if it does get approved again, we're looking at another major country putting a lot of buying pressure on Bitcoin. So that is going to push the price up, and not to mention the Bitcoin halving is coming up in April and May too. So the timing are all really work towards this Bitcoin pump summer. I don't know, Bitcoin, whatever you call it. Bitcoin pumping season this summer.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So I guess it's looking like it's gonna be a good few months along the horizon.
Yeah, Bitcoin season this summer, I'll tell you. You
Yeah,
know the all season? I'm calling this a Bitcoin season summer.
yeah, yeah. It's only tailwinds from here on forward, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, man. So I guess is there anything else?
Yeah, I think that's all for today. You have a good day, man.
All right, man. We'll catch up soon.